You know, you can be an abused or neglected child and not really feel like you were because you weren't beat on. But if you were ignored, if your ideas were ignored, or if you wanted to talk to your mom or your dad about something and they would shut you down and make it seem like, it wasn't important, or they'll shoo you away, you um, you start to you build a trauma response. See, for the longest time, I used to think that I was just an introverted child. I was just an introvert. But as I started doing my little shadow work and started deeping, like going back into my thoughts and reliving past experiences and going back even to when I was like 2 years old, um, I started putting the pieces of the puzzle together and realized that I was indeed a neglected child. For one, I was the oldest, so I was automatically exposed to being the mother of the bunch. I was the oldest out of all my cousins on my mom's side, not my dad's. I was the third oldest on my dad's side, but I'm the oldest on my mom's side of all the kids, of all my cousins, of all my siblings. So I had the enormous responsibility as a child to be a mother, basically. So I never got a chance to be a child. And I think as I'm about to turn 40 in January, and I'm currently 39, of course, I feel like I am a grown child. I don't feel like I have matured enough to become a 40-year-old grown woman. And I do believe that a lot of that is rooted in a trauma response. Um, like I said, my mom, she was a single mom. My dad, yeah, I'll reserve my thoughts for him. But he wasn't around. And my mom, all she did was work. She made time to go clubbing and everything like that. I ain't even gonna sit up here and like I was saying, I'm not gonna sit up here and make it seem like my mom didn't enjoy her life, because surely she did. It was Tuesdays. It'd be Fat Tuesdays. She'll go to Fat Tuesdays on Tuesdays. Wednesday, it'll be like ladies' night or something like that. Thursdays, she'll go to some type of happy hour. Fridays, Saturdays. The only real day that I remember seeing my mom at home was on Mondays. That was the only day I felt like she didn't have nothing else to do. No clubbing, no nothing else to do. So she would work and she would club. So I would take care of my siblings. I would cook, I would clean. When my brother got sick with leukemia, I was the one that had to take him back and forth to the doctors, because during that time, there was no FMLA. So she had to work. And if she had to work, somebody had to take him to the hospital for his treatments. So in return of that, I had to basically drop out of school, because I would take him back and forth to his cancer treatments. And then I turned around and got pregnant at 16. So yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, but yeah. So like I said, I made it back home. I'm gonna take a bath. I just got finished working out. So like I would say, hold on. Can I take this headphone off? Anyways, I would be the one in charge of taking care of kids. Now, I want you all to please keep in mind, also the fact that not only did I have the tremendous responsibility of growing up extremely fast, I also matured very fast. I came on my cycle when I was 9 years old. Literally, I had just turned 9 years old 3 days before. So, I had to learn a lot on my own. I didn't know anything about my cycle. I didn't know any and everything that I learned willingly. I wasn't taught. I had to learn on my own. If I wanted to know something, I had to learn on my own. And my mom, we didn't spend time together. The only time I've ever been to church with my mom was for a funeral. The reason I even knew about church, about God, about religion, or anything like that was due to my family members. My Auntie Margaret, you know, my grandma Jessie, when we came to the South, it's really churchy down here, Baptist, up north, my family up north, most of them are like Catholic. But as far as my mom, I never went to church with my mom, ever went to church with my mom unless it was for a funeral. I never even went to church with my mom when it was a wedding. I'd never been to a wedding with my mom. The only time I've ever stepped foot inside of a church with my mom was due to a funeral. So you got to keep that in mind. Then, like I said, she never spent time with me. And I just assumed that was just the way life was supposed to be. I was never told I was, she never told me she loved me. She never gave me hugs. She never kissed on me. My other siblings, they slept in the bed with her. My brother and my sister, they slept in the bed with her sometime. I don't ever remember sleeping in the bed with my mom, ever. So not only did I grow up having to be, an adult, before time, I also took on the response of, if I stay to myself, then nobody could hurt me. When I entered relationships, I would literally, if I feel like something was off, if I felt like we were on the verge of breaking up, if I felt like, we weren't going to work out, to avoid that feeling of reject, that feeling of fear, or that feeling of being left alone, I would leave first. I would break up first. And the crazy thing about it is, I'm sitting back and I'm thinking about it. Like my past relationships, them Negroes probably wasn't even thinking about breaking up with me, but because of the way I had built this trauma response in regards to rejection and not wanting to feel hurt, I would take it upon myself to break up first if I felt like we were on the verge of breaking up. So I'm sitting back here and I'm thinking about how I'm raising my kids. And now I'm feeling like I've been raising my kids the same way I was raised. And now they're going to raise their kids the way that they were raised. I'm not saying that I feel like I neglected them, but I do know that I did neglect them emotionally because I just gave them what was given to me. I don't like hug on my kids. I don't tell them that I love them as much as I should. I tell them sometimes, but nowhere near as much as I should. I feel like, to be honest with you, you should tell your kids you love them every day, regardless of what's going on. I have a daughter that's I haven't even spoken to since April. Like, we're forced to speak to each other because we live in the same household. But, like, we have not sat and talked. I haven't talked to her. It's like we're strangers. And we have this negative vibe in the house right now. And a lot of it is due to her. But it's just, it's a lot. So the moral to the story is you don't have to be physically beaten. You don't have to wear wounds outside where it could be seen. A lot of the neglect and abuse can be eternal. And if you don't do the work, you will live in a perpetual cycle of abuse without you even knowing it. Get the help that you deserve.